Welcome back. You've just joined me at the time where I've come to the end of my first week here in Santo Tomas in Iquitos. A typical day is sort of as follows. We get up at sort of about 20 to 7 in the morning. Breakfast is sort of 7 to 7:30 in time for the kids arriving, sort of about 7:30 until about 10. During this sort of time frame, the kids will be doing their homework. If they don't have any homework or if they've finished it all, then normally what would happen is the volunteers would play some games or do some educational work with them. It's a bit difficult for me starting off because of the language barrier. It's hard to listen in and reply with one that makes sense because in Peru the people just speak really fast. But one of the other volunteers did give me a bit of advice and said that if I could understand about 40% of what they're saying, then I'm doing well. 10 to 3 is sort of a free time for ourselves and the other volunteers. The other day we went on a boat trip down to a nice beach, and it was proper sort of what you would expect a tropical beach to be like. White sand, cool clear fresh water. We even had a nice swim, but the current was really fast, so it was hard to swim with the current without being dragged. It also involved a little bit of volleyball afterwards, which naturally enough we weren't particularly good at, but I don't really mind as long as I can hit it over the net once or twice. I'll be happy. 3 to 6 is whenever the kids would come back to Suyai for some classes. As I don't really speak much Spanish, it's a bit hard to get a word in edgeways, but in the meantime I've been helping kids out with their multiplications. I've been doing long division with them. I even wrote down a couple of guides for myself and other volunteers to use. I even taught one of the other volunteers how to do fractions again because it'd been a while since she had done it. To start off, there was about 6 of us, sorry, 6 or 7, myself, Alice, and a few other Spanish people. But yesterday, a lot more arrived from down by the river. During that time, they were doing sort of sanitation type jobs, medics and the like. So our bunk is a bit more crowded than what it was before. We're sharing the room now with 2 other Spanish ladies, and it's a few of us have been a bit ill with fever and vomiting, and I was one of the unfortunate ones to be ill when they arrived yesterday. So probably wasn't the best first impression I could have got. Every day has been blazing hot sun, 33 degrees, 90% humidity, except for today when we had the first Amazon storm, when it rained constantly through the night. Whenever it rains, this sort of encourages animals to come into the huts a bit more. The toilet, for example, frogs actually live in the pipes, so if you leave the toilet seat up, frogs will jump out. We found our first cockroach yesterday when we were moving our stuff around for the other volunteers arriving, which is not bad considering we'd been here for nearly a week before finding anything. We arrived during the middle of the La Festival de Aniversario de Santo Tomas. This year was commemorating the 81st year of Santo Tomas's founding, so there are quite a few events going on through it. We went to a few football matches as Suyai was competing against other teams located within Santo Tomas. The way they do it is they have to go set up in the middle of the road, and the kids just always playing barefoot. It's quite amazing to see how they have no real fear of dirt or anything like that, and they're playing football and knocking it about with motor taxis going past here and there. Except for yesterday during the semi-finals when they actually put a sign up on the road blocking off part of it so that they could play their match. It meant the team in the motor taxis and the wooden buses had to take a diversion down the slightly more muddy road through Santo Tomas. They had matches for boys between the ages of 8 and 11. They had matches for women and for men, but it was hard to get a girl into the team. After some persuasion, we were able to get one of our friends, Fatima, into the team, and she was the star player. She was going at every tackle, every ball, and she properly encouraged them further. So yeah, I think they reached the semi-finals in the end. During the evenings, we've been able to go out and see bits of the festival. We went to see Miss Santo Tomas, but it wasn't anything quite like I expected. There was a clown at the front, and then there was a fellow behind looking a little bit like a cheap version of Fireman Sam, and they had all sorts of they're saying all sorts of jokes, making all sorts of clown-like sounds, whilst encouraging little girls to walk up and down the stage and catwalk in various outfits. And the worst part was whenever they got the kids to do some dancing in front of the crowd. I wanted to leave after only about 2 minutes because I was just absolutely disgusted with what I was seeing, and I think a few of the other volunteers shared my opinion on it. It's moments like that, and combined with the football team, that really highlights sort of a bit of the differences in towards sexism in other countries. We went to see a pageant where everyone was wearing recycled clothing, and it was a bit more fun. We weren't too sure about what we would see, because when people think of recycling, you'd think of little bits of paper or little bits of bubble wrap just sellotaped or sewn or joined together. But it was really cool to see some of the outfits that they had really come up with. It was full of frilly lace-like gowns, and in all honesty, they wouldn't have looked out of place at a wedding or a formal event. There was one girl who had a dress made out of corn and the cob leaves sewn together, and it was just all very creative and all very impressive. Everyone in Santo Tomas is very humble and very friendly. They'll greet you with a rendition of Buenos Dias or Buenas Noches when you're passing. This is also true of the kids as well. They know that you're there to be their friend and their teacher and what have you. Whenever I emerged for the class, everyone came up to me and yelled, "Hermano Daniel," and everyone runs up and gives you a hug. They feel really close to you just by you being there, effectively. The youngest are about 5 and the oldest are about 13 or 14, and they all have vary in terms of their language skills and their learning and what have you. Like 2 days ago I was helping a kid spell out sentences in Spanish, because some of them can't spell sort of basic Spanish words, and some of them can't even read or write. I've become more known as El Gringazo, which basically means the big gringo, because I'm taller than everyone else. With regards to being more well known, after the recycle parade, shortly afterwards there was a talent singing contest, and the founder of Suyai, Yolanda, invited me to take part in it. I strode into it with a bit of confidence. What I did just absolutely blew the audience away. I sang a version of The Wild Rover. And The Wild Rover is an Irish traditional song, basically about a person who disappears to another country for a long time. And I thought it was applicable because of how long I'm here for.
Bienvenido a Santo Tomás. Hola Santo Tomás. Soy Daniel y voy a cantar una canción irlandesa. I've been a wild rover for many's a year, and I spent all me money on whiskey and beer. But now I'm returning to Santo Tomas, and I never will play the wild rover no more. And it's no, nay, never, no, nay, never, no more will I play the wild rover. No, never, no more.
And afterwards, Yolanda was in tears and said, "You're my hero." I'm getting better at my Spanish and we're progressing bit by bit. It's just a case of learning a bit more as we go along. So until next time, hasta pronto.